We in the Legion used to say redemption can only be found in the most unusual places. Well, this suddenly qualifies. I would now like to apologize to every single Scottish person watching this video, and in fact extend that all the way out to any Scottish person that has ever lived, whether they're deceased, whether they're currently living, future Scottish people. I am so sorry. If you have any descendants in your bloodline, going all the way back to the very beginning when Scotland was first founded, when the first Scottish person was formed from a bowl of haggis. Now that I have offended every single goddamn person from Scotland that might be watching this video, Plane was directed by Jean-Francois Richet, not to be confused with Ricochet. He's not the why you bald wrestler that can do incredible flip-de-doo-dah shit, has springs in his legs, and recently proposed to Samantha Irvin, an incredibly beautiful and talented ring announcer for the WWE. And if you're a non-wrestling fan, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But she said yes. Hooray! Hooray for marriages that have absolutely nothing to do with Plane. So yeah, Jean-Francois Richet directed the remake of Assault on Precinct 13. So, this took two people to write it. Two people were needed to write a movie called Plane. One person came up with the title, and the other person said, you come up with the title, and I'll be winging it over here with the dialogue. Oh yeah, there's going to be a lot of puns in this. One of the writers was J.P. Davis. I think I remember that one. I think it's a law firm or whatever. No, I'm thinking that they need cash now. G-Spot Wentworth, 877 Ask Now. That's something else. J.P. Davis does sound like some kind of law firm. He did The Neighbor and The Contractor, or The Contractor. I felt contractions of pain and rage watching Plane, which should probably tip as to exactly how I felt about this. And also Charles Cumming. There's a man named Charles Cumming that wrote that. I'm sorry, Mr. Cumming, if you happen to be watching this. I'm sorry, I can only imagine the amount of fun that was made of you in school. This is Mr. Cummings' feature credit. He came out hot. I'm sorry. Gerard Butler's in this as Brody Torrance. The passengers aren't here, Mr. Torrance. They didn't reference The Shining in this. I'm disappointed. Mike Coulter is in this as a convict that is on the plane. In a movie called Plane? It's so weird. Mike Coulter may be remembered most famously as Luke Cage. There's even a on the nose and on the skull homage to Luke Cage, which I've only seen a bit of. I know he has a sledgehammer, and he called their name. Daniela Pineda was in this, who's gorgeous. Good grief, she's gorgeous. She was in a movie called Mercy Black that I actually forgot I reviewed. And I remember once I read the description. I barely remember it, but I remember she looked good in it. Tony Goldwyn is in this as Scarsdale, not to be confused with Scottdale, because we are Scottsdale. He is not a town in Arizona. Lily King, oh, she's a Lily King. I don't know the rest of the words to rhyme, but she's Lily King. We have a plane here, and it's crashing down on an island while Lily King is watching her father try to struggle while her name is Lily King. Okay, enough of that. And a man named, or a character named Shellback. Remy Adelke. Okay, so this movie basically has Gerard Butler in his most Gerard Butler moment as a pilot that has a bit of a backstory. So much of a backstory, it literally is encompassed in like 3 lines in one little video. And he's a pilot. On New Year's Eve, he's going to go see his daughter. He just has to take this plane of people, and they go through a storm, and they crash land on a war-torn island where even the Philippine, army and people won't go. And there's all these evil people that are, there's like 2 people that have character names. Everybody else has no names. It's so painfully generic, it's ridiculous. And the passengers are captured, and Mr. Torrance and Mike Coulter, I'm just going to say Mr. Louis. Oh, yeah, we got a bat screenplay. La, 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 la. Basically, they realize they have to band together, and they have to take care of the mercenaries, the people whose island they crashed on, by the way, and they have to free everybody. There you go, including the co-pilot. And then bullets and stuff ensue. Eventually, kinda, maybe, sorta. This movie could have been plucked from the mid to later 90s, or maybe the early 2000s, and that would have you wouldn't have noticed the difference. Like, really, that's where the screenplay is, that's where the movie is, and unfortunately, the movie isn't very good. This movie is so painfully generic, it's almost like you get an action bingo card cliche. Well, card. Oh, let's see. Tragic backstory for the main character. Convict with a heart of gold. Beautiful, girl that is there for a little bit to look beautiful and also be a girl, and also one co-pilot or one character that can do the things that the main character can't, but he doesn't get nearly enough credit, and also a bunch of cliched villains. none of which actually have any point, and also government agency trying to do something to take care of this plane that is stranded on this foreign island. Check, 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 and oh, I got bingo, bingo, bingo. That's all the plot is. I mean, for like half the movie, for almost half the movie, the people don't even get caught. And then when they do, they're freed rather quickly. Sorry, bit of a spoiler right there, and the movie just ends up being painfully generic to the point where you wouldn't even think that this movie should be almost an hour and 50 minutes. This movie's an hour and 47 minutes, which is just under an hour 50. Gerard Butler's fine, but he was better in Olympus Has Fallen and other stuff. And Cop Shop, which I need to actually review at some point. He's a good actor. Gerard Butler is good. 300, this is Sparta. Don't know why he said it like that. But Plane just ends up being one of these movies where, is it the most offensive thing? No. Is it good? No. It's really, really, really bad. This got a theatrical release. I'm going to go over this again because I went over this in another review, The Devil Conspiracy, that you can check out. Turning Red, Prey, so many other movies have gone right to streaming. And I'm talking like last year. Yes, 2022 is last year. I know, hard to believe we're in 2023. This got a theatrical release. This is barely above Netflix quality. This could have been shoved out on Netflix, and honestly, it wouldn't have been a miss. You could have watched it in the comfort of your own home. They have this extended scene with the plane battling through the storm and then eventually crashing. And I guess that sort of makes sense, for a movie called Plane. Guess you need to feature the goddamn plane in it. But it ends up being so extended that you're expecting Samuel Jackson to say, I'm sick of these motherfucking cliches on this motherfucking plane. And, of course, Mike Coulter's character ends up, being the most helpful because he's a convict that actually didn't do anything bad, or maybe he did something bad. We don't actually ever really find out what he did. Or maybe we do, and I just totally, forgot. And then other mercenaries, good mercenaries, show up to try and help out eventually, and the action's generic. Somehow Gerard Butler is just able to shoot these freaking guns. I can believe Mike Coulter's character doing it because he was in the French Legion, and they talk about all this stuff, and everything else is like these just generic jungle stuff, generic Filipino guys getting shot, shouting in a foreign language, and they have a compound and everything, and that's it. That's really all there is to Plane. Plain as day, this movie is terrible. Really, really goddamn terrible. I'm going to get into spoilers. Missing out on this will not haunt you at all. But yeah, Plane. That's it. That's really it. 3, 2, 1. It's in theaters. Watch it if you want. Spoilers. Okay. So Gerard Butler, it turns out, has a pilot, a Scottish pilot, and this government agency is just watching from this war room, seemingly. Sees this video after Mr. Torrance had made a call in. He made a call in at first, but this is after the plane went down, and the person thought it was a crank call. Then he called his daughter. So then the information gets out. Then they have to basically play damage control. No, not Bailey, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai. Again, WWE references. Sorry. And Mr. Torrance has to basically find a way to rescue the people, and needs the help of Mike Coulter Cage. And then there you go. And then they just do. They overtake this compound really easily. You have to think that if they just had a few bush babies, or just maybe, I don't know, had like a couple children with cap guns, that they could have taken over this compound rather easily. The people get rescued very, very easily. I think only a couple people got shot. And then everybody's fine. By the way, earlier in the movie, to compensate, they dumped fuel out of one engine, but they had enough fuel to fire up the engine and escape. They managed to escape. Mike Coulter Cage stays behind, has a bunch of money, has a bag of money from these good mercenary guys that he uses to get out of the country or start a new life or whatever the hell he decides to do. He just goes over there. And Gerard Butler gets shot a few times, but manages to get away, manages to run over the main bad guy. And they only have enough fuel to get literally 50 miles away to another island where they just land, and it's perfectly fine. There just happens to be a long enough runway where they can just land and they can just do this and everything. And that's it. That's all the plane is. Plane does not have much to it. I mean, I didn't expect much, and I got less, and that's saying something. So that is all I have to say about Plane. It was pretty bad. It was pretty goddamn bad. It gets an F. I am not off to the best start now with movies. That's 4 F grades. That's 4 straight F grades at the beginning of the year. Not that I expected much from Plane, but it turned out to be even somehow worse than I expected. So agree, disagree what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.